Hi folks, welcome to this week's Inside Track with Scottish Sun. Jim Delahunt here with me as always. Jim, I felt for you last Sunday with Minnie Hawk. You really fancied her for the arc. I thought she was coming
Yeah,
to win the race. Just got pipped on the line. What's your reflections on it? I've seen a few folks saying Sumion went too quick. Didn't really think that myself. Or he went too
no.
early, sorry. Didn't think that myself. She tied her heart out for you. She just got beaten by a slightly better horse in the day, I think. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts exactly, Robert. No complaints whatsoever, and I didn't even know. Normally, you're a little bit gutted after the race, but I really didn't think so. I thought Sumi Yong did everything that Sumi Yong should have done. The horse was in a good position, came to win its race, and was beaten by a better 3-year-old on the day. The Aga Khan's horse had shown plenty on the build-up, so we knew it was a potentially very good horse. We just didn't know at the time how good it was, but of course like many of these French 3-year-olds, they come good on the right day. And the right day for that horse, Darius, was the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe last Sunday. And I suppose if you're a racing purist, Robert, like you and I sometimes are, we're going to be happy that Darius stays in training next year and has not been packed off to stud when we've barely seen him. So that's good. That's some good news, I think.
Yeah, I mean it was a fantastic meeting actually. I mean I can't believe I never put up Cabela de Mar after putting it up the last twice and it goes and wins
I know.
on Saturday. So I was kicking myself for that. But there we are. We're Newmarket this weekend. Newmarket's been in the news all week with the sales going on there, Jim.
Yeah.
Astronomical amounts of money being spent, hedge fund cash being spent. I mean, racing seems to be celebrating this at the same time that it's telling everybody that the sport's completely skint and there's strikes and the sport's in danger. And then on the other hand, we're celebrating people spending vast fortunes on horses. Just seems a bit of a disconnect there. I mean, obviously it's great for the studs and whatever that are selling these horses that this top dollar's been made. But in terms of the messaging, does it just feel a little bit muddled at the moment?
A little bit muddled. I mean, we've made a great case over the past few weeks. The racing authorities have made a very good case for the fact that Rachel Reeves is looking to put the tax on racing revenues up from 15 to 21% to put it on the same level as slot machines. So we're very annoyed about that. We plead poverty over that, and then we go to the sales, and if you put down 1.4 million, I'll put down 1.5 million. If you put down 1.8, I'll put down 2. So of course, it is only the big boys that are playing in this market. It's your Wathnans, it's your Sheikh Mohammeds, it's your Coolmores in Ireland, it's your Amo Racing. You could call that the new money, I suppose, the money that's come out of football agency. The only worry I have about that particular end of the market is that guys like the guy who runs Amo, his finances, despite how rich he is and how much money he's made out of football, his finances are finite. Whereas Coolmore, they could ride it out. They could ride out a storm for many, many years. They can afford to have £10 million yearlings and only one of them come good. If somebody like Amo or Wathnan have £10 million yearlings and only one of them come good, they have to think about how many they can have the following year. So will the bubble burst? I'm not sure. We'll just need to wait and see. But Sheikh Mohammed seems to be back in the game. That's an interesting one, and certainly flashing the cash. So we'll see how it all pans out. But my goodness, it's a different world.
Yeah, I mean the one thing you probably can't conflate the money that's been spent at the top end by the sheiks and by these big operations, and we know now that Ammo Racing is backed by hedge funds. It seems a
Yes.
pretty unique funding model. How it pans out, we'll just have to wait and see. As you say, Jim, these guys will want a return on their money at some point,
Yeah.
and buying horse flesh is a very inexact science. I mean, for every good one, there's 10 bad ones. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. But I mean. I think we kind of lose sight of the fact that racing is impoverished at a much lower level.
Yeah, yeah, of course it
But
is. Yeah.
it's just possibly a bad look. They're trying to persuade politicians at the moment that
Yeah.
this sport's really struggling, and then on the other hand, we're celebrating and whatever that. Oh, look at the money getting
Yeah.
sold at these sales. But there we go. It's just a fact of life there. But we'll move on. I mean, the racing at Newmarket this week is fantastic. The Cesarewitch big handicap is the main event. I know it's only got 21 runners again, Jim. That's 3 years out of four. We're going to have sort of low 20s. Where in the past, this race was always 30, 33, 34.
Yeah.
So seems to be a trend that this race just isn't attracting the horses that it used to.
We said the same about the Cambridgeshire just a couple of weeks ago, Robert. So it does seem to be a trend. It doesn't seem to be a trend that's reversing in any way, anytime fast. So something we have to live with now. Some people would say 35 runner handicaps were a thing of the past anyway. We might be better off just trying to solve 21 to 25, but it used to be a great spectacle. It's maybe not the greatest spectacle anymore, but it's still every bit as tough to solve, isn't it?
Yeah, well, definitely. But we'll get on to that in a minute. We've got the Dewhurst before then. We've got a couple of other 2-year-old races, Jim. Neither of us have got a bet in those, but that's the beauty of doing this. We're not tied into doing the TV races. We can just pick and choose where we go and what we cover. Just maybe give us a brief mention of the supporting card at Newmarket.
Yeah, the Zetland Stakes is a mile and a quarter race. It's a Group 3. Always an interesting race with a view to the future because trainers do tend to run some of their horses that they would expect to be running maybe over a mile and a half, a mile and 3/4 next year. They're good enough and they've got the stamina to go a mile and a quarter this year. We actually had a mile and a quarter race at Nottingham the other day, which preceded this one. That's at 150. We then have the Autumn Stakes over a mile, another Group 3 race at 225. But as you alluded to, the big one really is the Dewhurst. That's the one we're all looking forward to see which of these colts are going to come out and possibly be classic horses next year. The one that was really impressive a couple of weeks ago was Distant Storm. I keep having to remind myself that was a Group 3. Everybody went really overboard about that, but it was a Group 3 performance. Yes, he stumbled out the stalls, and William Buick gave him a lot of time to recover, and he came and won his race very, very nicely indeed. But it was a Group 3, and it's that thinking that puts me towards Zavateri, because Eve Johnson Houghton's horse has done it at Group 1 level. He's got a fantastic profile, a real old-fashioned profile, 1-1-1-1 coming into the Dewhurst. Gradual improvement, gradual step up in class. It really was a good Group 1, Group 1, yeah, Group 1. I'm nearly American there, Grade 1. It was a very good Group 1 that he won at the Curragh last time. I thought he won it really, really well, and it had Dewhurst written all over it. I said that to one of my friends in a text straight away. So Zavateri, he's come here fitting well. Charlie Bishop, what a good job he's done on this horse. Not one of the bigger names in the weighing room, but Eve Johnson Houghton has every faith in him. So I'm not going to change my mind that this is a very good colt and a very good colt with a view to next year as well. So Zavateri, around about 11 to 4 mark is very much my selection for the Dewhurst.
Are you surprised it's not favourite? When I did the race
Oh,
up, I thought it would be favourite.
yeah, I'm not because I did think that visually, and you know how big I am in visuals, but visually Distant Storm was very, very impressive. And I had a feeling that they were going to make that one favourite. But you never know, come the day, a few like minds might push Savateri's price in a little bit.
And then up to the 2 mile, 2 furlongs in the Cesarewitch handicap. We've got Irish trainers galore. We've got Mullins with 3, Elliott with 3, Joseph O'Brien. We've got Tony Martin. But Jim, you and I have hit upon the same horse here. And I think he might be an Irishman training in England.
Yeah, it's Adrian Paul Keatley. Adrian Keatley, as he's known, training at Malton, used to be training in Ireland. He trained an Irish 1,000 guineas winner when he was over there before he came over here. He said his horse is in really good form. He's got a big race profile as well. I remember he saddled Kihava to finish second in the Ebor just a couple of seasons ago. I think the same horse ran well in the same race this year as well. But Surrey Bell, I mean, you can tell me a bit about the ownership in a little minute. But last time out, it went to Ayr, won quite an ordinary handicap, it has to be said, at the Ayr Gold Cup meeting. But it absolutely hosed in doing handstands. And we didn't know the value of that form. And then this week, the runner-up came out and won a decent handicap in the same grade off the same mark at Leicester. And that gave a real boost to the form. And then when you looked into it a little bit, you look back to Adrian's moved the mare between hurdles and the flat. And you look back to its last hurdles when at Hexham. And that race has worked out particularly well. I think the Navigator's gone on to win 3 times out of that race. So I think Surrey Bell, and I know you think so too, Surrey Bell looks extremely well handicapped with a £4 penalty. And Cam Hardy, again, a bit like Charlie Bishop, not one of the biggest names in the weighing room, but very, very useful when you need somebody to do 8 stone. And this mare in with 8 stone 2 in the Cesarewitch on Saturday. I know for a fact you're not going to oppose me, but is there anything else that's attracted you to this one?
Well, just you make the same case. I mean, when you go back to the hurdles start in June as well, with winners in behind there, we know she stays the tip, which is a big thing in a race like this. And you mentioned Sheikh Mohammed there. I mean, Jimmy Fife is fast becoming the Sheikh Mohammed of the North, and he seems to have bought this horse. It's just appeared in his colours in the last 48 hours. So, I mean, Jimmy's built a hugely strong string over jumps and on the flat this year. I mean, our colleague Ed Watson had a story the other day that Brian
Yeah,
Hughes is going to be his retained rider. Jimmy's operation is just growing year by year. He's invested significantly in horses. He wants to be winning these big races. So I think he was already involved in the Keighley Yard. So
yeah.
it's an obvious one for him to take on. But I think Jimmy buying this horse, uh, that's the kind of horses he wants. He wants to be there on the big days. He wants to be winning these big races. So I would imagine that the reason Jimmy's got involved in this is Keatley's told him he thinks he's got a right chance of winning this weekend.
Yeah, good luck to the Dundee Godolphin. Jimmy Fife with Surrey Bell in the Cesarewitch. We're both on it, Robert. I should just say at this point that last year I tipped up and napped a horse called Manxman, and it finished second, beating a nose at 7-1. And those of you who follow these sort of things will know that at the time I was leading the Racing Post Naps table, and I thought when that one went down by a nose 2 weeks before the end of the season at 7-1, I thought this one might just cost me. But thankfully, Robert, we went on and we managed to win it. So that was good news. But Manxman was a little bit unlucky last year. And I'm hoping that, like you, that Surrey Bell can go and do us a big job at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Manxman this year is £8 higher, isn't he? I mean, you would have to look at East India Dock having a chance as well. Another one that's been over hurdles. And another one I thought might have a chance is Bearleby, who was a big eye catcher at Newbury,
Yeah,
in the open handicap there, and finished a fast finishing third, having raced off the pace over 1.5 miles, I think it was.
yeah.
Run over hurdles twice over 2 mile, beaten a long way both times. So you don't really know what the stamina. Didn't particularly jump well. But Billy Loughnane was one on him in August. He's jocked up early in this. So I thought Bearleby was an interesting one. But Surrey Bell's where the money's gone. We backed it at 25. You can still get 22s this morning, Jim.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
still a really nice price. And then we'll head to York where there's a 6 furlong handicap. Basically, we've got a rerun of the Ayr Gold and Silver Cups to a
Yeah.
large extent at 3:15. What have you dug out in that?
I'm a little bit boring here because I'm sticking with the horse I put up for the Air Gold Cup, and that was Northern Ticker. And on the face of it, that was a little bit disappointing that day. It had been anti-post favourite all week, and then it drifted out on the day. And then we discovered later why it drifted out on the day, because connections were a bit disappointed the way the ground had turned out for it. I spoke to Michael Dodds after that race. He just said the ground was hopeless for it. He said you didn't see the proper Northern Ticker that day. I spoke to Paul Mulrennan yesterday at Ayr, and he says he's really looking forward to getting back on the horse at York. He was very disappointed that things didn't turn out his way in the Ayr Gold Cup. It really is a life's ambition of his to win the race. So Northern Ticker, you're very conscious of the draw for this 6 furlongs at York, Robert, and he's been drawn in box 7, which I'm very happy with. So I don't think there'll be, having spoken to Mulrennan yesterday, I don't think there'll be any excuses this time. So I was convinced he would win the Ayr Gold Cup, so I have to think he'll win this race at York on Saturday. So Eternal Sunshine runs on Friday. It'll be interesting to see if that one runs again. Jim Goldie also runs Jordan Electrics in the race. And I think you think that Guido's well handicapped.
Yeah, just Guido's starting to look pretty dangerous off a mark of 91, I think. I mean, he was third in the race 2 years ago off 100, so just purely on that, you would think that he's got to have a chance. I mean, I thought he was running the Silver Cup after a long break
It was very good, yeah.
was decent enough. I mean, his last winning mark was 97. He's £6 lower than that. He's been drawn. Oh, I think he's been drawn five. My notes have let me down here,
He's
Jim.
down at one. He's down at one.
Sorry, one.
Yep.
Sorry, yep. Down at one. The thing is, there's not actually much pace in the low draws. You have
No.
to go to hammer the hammer in 8 to find one that'll probably want to go forward. So I think if Guidor gets out the boxes and still one, as you've just reminded me
Yeah.
there, I think he could maybe get a bit of the run of the race there. So I just think looking dangerous. He just looks a dangerous horse. William Pyle takes off another 3 as well. So I just think he might be one that's his turn's just coming back around.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, actually, because Katie Scott's horses are all running well. She's just not getting the winners at the moment. I'd like to see her getting a couple of winners. Good luck to Guidor. I'm sure it'll run well too. I'm convinced of that. But I'll stick with Northern Ticker for the big one before we start thinking about jumping at Chepstow.
Yes, well, I've got the first day today, the Friday of this new 3-day meeting. We're going to look at Saturday's card, Jim. We've got the Silver Trophies, the main event there, but you've got one to start us off in the 210.
Yeah, I'll mention these two briefly before we get to the main race. The Kimball Brewery is a horse trained by Kim Bailey. He now has a training partner, Matt Nichols, as well. The Kemble Brewery looked a very good novice to me. Made his handicap debut at Sandown last year, just didn't run well at all. They've since given it a wind operation. I think the time to get this is off this same handicap mark as he had at Sandown, which I thought was very good, 129. He runs off that tomorrow. Bailey and Nichols have run 6 horses over the last few days. 2 of them have won. I think first time out at Chepstow, he's very well suited going left-handed. I think the Kemble Brewery is one to be on in 210. And a horse I liked last year and did it a couple of turns. I'm hoping it might do his one tomorrow as well. That's at Chepstow in the Native River Handicap, celebrating the old Native River. Richard Johnson won such so many big races on that one. Oh, Jolie Smoke for a trainer we're going to talk about in the next race in particular, Dan Skelton. Oh, Jolie Smoke, I think still very much on the up, only a 7-year-old, and I think this handicap will be nicely suited to him. So Ho Jolie Smoke in the 2:45 before we get on to the Silver Trophy.
Yeah, with the Silver Trophy, 3:20, and I think Royal Infantry's got to have a huge chance in this. Ran in what we described as the best race Perth had ever staged back in April, which was won by Kiss Will for Willie Mullins. I mean, you ought to know who was 4th that day, went off favourite for the Kerry National a few weeks ago, having been switched to fences and winning by a distance at Wexford. Intense Approach was 8th. That came out and won a beginner's chase at the Galway Festival.
Yep.
We've got other winners, Manila Rescue, Gail Maller, both won since. So I mean that race just looks bursting with strength. It was just so many good horses in that race. He was one of 5 entries for Skelton, and I think they all stood their ground.
Yeah, all 5 as far as I can see.
All 5 stood their ground. Then Harry Skelton was jocked up in this one straight away. Though, as soon as the entries came out, Harry Skelton was on this one. This was the one he was always riding. And also, the horse's one-off breaks of 269 days, 238 days in the past. So you can trust it to be ready to go first time up. I think it's 6-1. Royal Infantry's a cracking bet this weekend.
Well, yeah, totally understand that case. Not a bad idea in such a competitive race to have 2 on side. The one I'm going to put up here, Robert, is Grey Val for Fergal O'Brien and Johnny Burke. Fergal's team in very, very good form. I'm going to tip one of his as well for the weekend. I napped one of his for Thursday. We'll see how that gets on. Now, the reason I fancy this horse is I think they've given this a really nice preparation. They stuck Holly Doyle on it for a race on the flat the other day, 3 weeks ago, just to give it a spin, get it ready for this. Grey Val is the one I'm putting up for the Silver Trophy. Again, like Dan, but unlike Dan, who's running all 5, Fergal had a few in this race, but this is the one he's plumped for. So Grey Val, I'm hoping, will run a big race, but totally respect Royal Infantry.
Yeah, Jim, 4:35, there's a horse I really like who was trained up north by James Ewart called Thistle Ask, who was in that dispersal sale when James stopped training earlier this year. Skelton's, I thought he was a very interesting buy for Skelton's. He was a wide margin winner at Ayr. Well, you were probably there that day. In fact, you would have been there that day. You probably welcomed them back into the winners' enclosure. Wide margin winner at Ayr. One of our fences at Musselburgh in February. He's not been seen since, but that Musselburgh race is quite nice. Teddy Blue was in that race. He's won a few since. Our old pal Hold On to the Line was in that race as well. He's went in again as well. So this horse has had a few layoffs. He can't be the easiest to train, but he was a good second at Ayr after 500 odd days off. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the break. The Skeltons know how to get them ready first time up. And the other thing is, he was entered in the Simply Ned at Kelso last week, along with Shake Your Tail Feather. They took this one out, kept Shake Your Tail Feather in, that one at a good price. So this horse has obviously been in their mind for a wee while for this race. So I think 4:35, Thistle Ask will be well worth following.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that horse back out under the Skelton guys. Remember all the Ewart horses used to run with the white bandages on their front legs. So we won't be seeing those white bandages at Chepstow on Saturday. There was one other one I wanted to mention there on Saturday, Robert, and that was in the Birdcatcher Nursery at Naas. Johnny Murtaugh's got 2 in this race. He's got Morehampton under Ben Cohen, and he also has another horse called Nakamura, which is looking for a hat-trick after winning at Navan and Cork off marks of 70 and 79. It's been bumped up to 88. But Johnny, as you know, is always keen to give an apprentice a chance. And he's got a young lad called Yudish Geared Harry, who claims £7. Now, his new mark 88, that brings it down to 81. He's only £2 above that last winning mark of 79. And if you saw that horse winning at Cork, another £2 or £3 would not have stopped him that day. I think this could be a point and shoot job. I don't think they'll be holding back. I think Nakamura just goes and runs as quick as he can. I think Geared Harry should be absolutely fine. If Murtagh trusts him, so do I.
And then we'll move on to Sunday, Jim, where, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, we'll both hit upon the same horse in the Welsh Champion Hurdle. When we swapped over our notes, we'd hit on the same one. I'll let you make the case for Celtic Dino.
Yeah, Celtic Dino, trained by Sam Thomas, ridden by Dylan Johnson, who claims the £3. Celtic Dino, a horse which has been showing promise ever since his bumper days. He's always looked a good horse. He always looked a horse that would progress into a very good handicapper. Maybe slightly disappointing, although he did run well in his handicaps last year. But I think around a left-hand track at Chepstow, Sam Thomas always likes targeting the big Welsh races. This, of course, is the Welsh Champion Hurdle. It's now a limited handicap, the same as the Scottish Champion Hurdle is. They used to be level weights races back in the day. But Celtic Dino, first time out for Thomas. I don't think he'd want to burst his horse with top weight first time out. So I think it'll be ready to go. But I think you might have one that might give us a run for our money.
Well, I think this will be a theme of the months and weeks to come, is a Skelton horse. Listen to your
Yeah.
heart, who was clearly rated by the stable. We ran a lot of listed graded events last season, narrowly beat by Diva Luna in a bumper, who turned out to be third in the Mares Novice at Cheltenham. So that's a good level of form. Won the listed Mares race at Newbury at the Hennessy Coral Cup Ladbrokes Trophy meeting
Yeah.
last year. Came up to Kelso, was well beaten in the Premier Hurdle, and got beat again at Aintree in the 2.5 mile handicap. But I think if the brakes freshen this horse up, a mark 126 looks workable. So about 8 to 1. I think listen to your heart each way. But I will be back in Celtic Dino as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed we're going to have a good weekend. It's cracking racing flat and jumps this weekend. But Robert, we're going to take a break next week just to get ourselves all primed up for the jump season proper. But we will be back in a couple of weeks. And as usual, we like to thank everybody who tunes in. We're really grateful that you do so. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, folks. Good luck with your bets. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.